Picture this. It's negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit. The ground beneath your feet isn't just frozen, it's been frozen solid for thousands of years. You're standing in interior Alaska, where winter darkness lasts for months and the growing season barely reaches 100 days. This is permafrost country, one of the harshest agricultural environments on Earth. Now imagine turning 140,000 acres of this frozen landscape into productive farmland. It sounds impossible, the kind of project that shouldn't work, that defies basic agricultural logic. Yet Alaska is betting its food future on it. This is the Nenana-Tachikaet Agricultural Project, and the story of how geography, policy, and desperation collided to create one of America's most ambitious farming experiments. The Nenana-Tachikaet area sits 60 to 100 miles southwest of Fairbanks in Alaska's interior. To understand why anyone would attempt farming here, you first need to understand the numbers that make this region borderline uninhabitable for agriculture. The frost-free period, the window where crops can actually grow, lasts between 90 to 120 days. Compare that to Iowa's 160 days or California's year-round growing season. You're working with barely 3 months between the last spring frost and the first killing frost of fall. A single unexpected cold snap can wipe out an entire harvest. But Alaska isn't doing this because the land is good. They're doing it because the alternative is worse. Alaska imports the vast majority of its food, which is around 95%. The grocery stores across the state maintain only a 3 to 5 day supply. If supply chains break, whether from natural disaster, economic disruption, or global crisis, Alaska faces immediate food insecurity on a massive scale. So here's the geographic mystery. Why would Alaska choose one of Earth's worst agricultural environments to solve this problem? Why not focus on greenhouses or shipping infrastructure or anything other than trying to farm frozen ground? The answer starts with a bridge. In 2019, Alaska designated the Nenana-Tachikaet area for agricultural development. When the Nenana River Bridge opened in July 2020, it unlocked practical access to these millions of acres, transforming the designation from theoretical to actionable. The bridge itself cost $18 million, largely funded through a federal build grant, but getting access was only step one. In 2022, the Alaska legislature committed $5 million specifically for agricultural development, surveying parcels, building access roads, and preparing land for sale. State officials estimated the first phase alone would require $21 million in infrastructure investment. This wasn't speculative interest. This was real money backing an improbable vision. So Alaska's Division of Agriculture structured a system around this opportunity. Agricultural covenants require buyers to clear and farm a percentage of their land within 5 years. State financing programs offer land at manageable rates. The requirements create accountability. You can't just buy the land and sit on it. You have to develop it. And then there's the climate shift. Alaska's frost-free period has been gradually lengthening. The warming trend isn't dramatic, but it's enough to push the growing season from marginal to barely viable. What was impossible 30 years ago is now merely extremely difficult. The state saw a window opening, narrow, risky, but real, and they decided to act. The Nenana-Tachikaet project targets 140,000 acres total. The first land auction happened in 2022, selling parcels to farmers willing to take the risk. Take the Kafe family as an example. They're experimenting with corn varieties that can mature in just 72 days, specifically bred for ultra-short growing seasons. It's agricultural improvisation, testing what crops can survive in conditions they were never meant for. Some experiments work, many don't. But each season teaches them something new about what's possible. Through 2025, infrastructure has been steadily progressing. Roads are being extended, drainage systems installed, and basic grid access expanded. The bones of agricultural development are being put in place. But infrastructure and enthusiasm only get you so far, because the reality of farming in interior Alaska is far more brutal than any planning document suggests. Let's start with the foundation, literally, permafrost. When you clear land in interior Alaska, you're removing the insulating layer of vegetation that keeps the ground frozen. Once exposed, permafrost begins to thaw, And when it thaws, the ground doesn't just soften, it collapses. Land subsides unevenly, creating sinkholes and flooding. Infrastructure built on stable ground suddenly sits on unstable mush. Roads buckle, foundations crack, drainage systems fail. You're not farming land, you're farming land that's actively trying to destroy itself. Then there's the compressed growing season. You have 3 months total. Every single day matters. Plant too early and a late frost kills your seedlings. Plant too late and an early frost kills your mature crops. There's no room for error, no recovery time. One bad weather event equals total loss. And in Alaska, bad weather is the default. The logistics are exponentially more expensive. Fertilizer costs more because it has to be shipped in. Equipment costs more because parts are scarce. Labor costs more because few people want to work in these conditions. Fuel costs more. Processing costs more. Every input that's routine in the lower 48 becomes a major expense in Alaska. You're farming at a permanent economic disadvantage. And then there are the people who were here first. Eva Dawn Burke grew up on land now within the project area. When I grew up there, it was just bountiful resources. We lived comfortably off the land, she says. As an indigenous advocate, she has actively opposed the state's rushed process, boycotting the sale event, while her community group, Tala Denaldel, purchased 2 parcels separately to reclaim ancestral lands for indigenous-led agriculture. Her concern, the project doesn't urgently address food security, will take years to become productive, and threatens the subsistence practices that have sustained indigenous communities for thousands of years. The environmental concerns extend beyond subsistence. Clearing permafrost land releases stored carbon, it disrupts wildlife corridors, it alters water drainage patterns that entire ecosystems depend on. The question isn't just whether farming can work here, it's whether it should. Let's be clear about what this project can and cannot do. The Nenana Tachiket project cannot replace Alaska's food imports. 140,000 acres, even if fully productive, wouldn't come close to feeding around 740,000 people. The scale doesn't match the problem. At best, this project reduces Alaska's food import dependency from 95% to maybe 90%. It's a marginal improvement to a massive vulnerability. 3 competing pathways are emerging. First, state-led commercial farming, the original vision, focused on selling parcels to private farms. Second, indigenous-led agriculture programs, like Eva Dawn Burke's Tala Denaldel Community Group. Third, emergency pivots like redirecting resources from failing salmon fisheries into controlled environment greenhouses. What makes this project significant isn't just Alaska, it's what Alaska represents globally. As climate change pushes agriculture northward, countries like Canada and Russia are watching Alaska's experiments closely. If farming can work in interior Alaska, it opens possibilities across the northern latitudes. If it fails, it shows the limits of human adaptation. Whether the Nenana Tachiket project becomes an agricultural revolution or an expensive failure remains determined by forces beyond complete control. The permafrost will thaw at its own pace. The growing season will lengthen or stabilize based on global climate patterns. Indigenous communities will either be included in the process or continue pushing back against it. The outcome isn't decided yet, but the experiment is underway. So here's a question. If you had to build a food system in one of Earth's harshest climates, would you attempt large-scale farming, invest entirely in greenhouses, or focus on something else entirely? Let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more stories about how geography shapes the impossible projects humans attempt, subscribe and hit the notification bell.